Jai Satchidanand. Jai Jinendra. Namaste. Happy Father's Day to all fathers. I thank Buena and Vijay Patel for asking me to talk about Jain viewpoint of holistic way of living. It actually made me think quite a bit. And I don't claim to be as learned about the religion, spirituality, dharma. So I went into the Google books and have found some interesting things that I will share with you. First, what's science and what's religion? And this is what Albert Einstein said. Religion without science is blind, and science without religion is lame. And I thank Sarah Sananji for doing a wonderful job to give me a good feeling to start. Now at least we know what's religion, right? I had to kind of find what is holistic science, and thought that I will build upon that and give some Jain perspectives. And I'm telling you from now, I'm going to leave a lot more for Ramesh Bhai to tell about the inner or the depth of Jain perspectives. And I'm sure he's happy about that. But I'll tell you what you can do tomorrow, or maybe this afternoon. Holistic science deals with the entire human beings. And that includes physical, mental, and intellectual. We all knew that. But we add the spiritual aspect, and it's a whole different ballgame. Have you figured out what the spirituality or spiritual aspect means? I haven't. But I'll tell you, when I went to look for the answers, there are multiple things that I'll share. Physical, mental, intellectual is easy. It's material, physical, whatever we do, whatever we own, whatever we have, etc., etc. But it's the spiritual, which is understood only by personal experience. And, personal experience will be different. Yours is different, mine is different, his, everybody is different. Our definitions are different. We create our own definitions, and that is what, to me, spirituality is. And I will share one way or my way that I have done. Is it right or wrong? No. There is no absolute truth. We all have learned and known that. But there is one way to live, or one of the ways to live. So I went into the dark ages to find out the definition, and that's what literally Wikipedia took me there. And what did I find? It lacks a definitive definition. The good thing about that is we all can create our own definition. Of course, within the right path. We all know right and wrong. So if you take that, my definition of spirituality is to steal and do drugs and whatever, I'm sorry, that's not going to kind of work. But whether it is to be ritualistic religion person, or whether it is to go and do humanitarian work, or it is to go and help many people, you can pick any of the paths. Actually, I'll tell you something that I read many years ago. Definitely at least 10 years ago. There was an article or a question asked in one of the Indian newspapers, I think it was Mumbai Samachar. What is the significance for inner achievement, happiness between doing a ritualistic rituals that I will touch briefly about Jain way, and doing the other types of work? Remember, so for example, this temple. Yes, there is religion place, there is cultural complex, there are things that we do, and there are religious practices that we practice. Now, you need people to look after this property also, and they may not have enough time to go into rituals. What is the significance? And I'll tell you what my grandfather told me. That's my mom's dad, and I was fortunate to spend 4 good years with him. And he had been there in all sides of life, in terms of being a president of the society of the city that he lived in. Nandarbar is the name of the city. He was the captain of the cricket team, businessman, and he used to gamble and lost money, all kinds of things. And for the last 40 years of his life, he lived a devout Jain. Devout means, as Saraswati was telling, he had a vow. If I don't do puja today, I will not eat. And if he was sick, he will do fast that day. He will not eat until he can go, or the next day starts. That was his vow. That's how we practice. And I always ask him that, nah, that's not the route I want to go. Or I would go. I would like to go and work and help people. And he says, ultimately, you will have to look into your own Atma and work for your own soul. And I still haven't resolved that. Maybe I haven't gone old enough for that. But spirituality, when I went back, the Latin word, spiritualitas, and the biblical word, rosh or pneuma, and it means motion, keep going, to be alive, being driven, go and do something good, whatever that is, whatever convinces you. Everybody has different ways of doing things, everybody wants to do things differently. Some people just want to make money and donate lots of money. Fine, that's needed too. Some people just don't have enough, or have enough, but yet they want to just go and work. That's fine too. Everything is needed. And remember here, it means being animated by God. So as much as people and scripture and we all want to run away from that mystical word or person, God, it ultimately is connected. It's very hard to separate the two things. It's not only sought through traditional organized religions, through various movements, you name it, and people have tried to address spirituality. Also associated with mental health, substance abuse, marital functioning, parenting and coping, and also leads to finding this is the one that I like, and this is the one that we all should try to find within the societal goods. And I'm not going to define them for you. We all know within the societal goods, find what gives you purpose. Be it coming to your temple and helping cleaning, be it coming to your temple worshipping the God that you believe in, be it going out and doing some community work, be it go and visit somebody in the hospital who is sick, who needs help, etc. Anything. Find a purpose in life within the societal norms. And we certainly learned, but I will tell you what I learned from trying to find the answer. After the Second World War is when they became disconnected. A new discourse developed in which humanistic psychology, mystical and esoteric traditions and Eastern religions are being blended to reach the true self by self-disclosure, free expression, and the word meditation. And as we learn, meditation, we're all meditating right now too. So the feeling and the belief that meditation necessarily means you go in one corner and sit in one position and until you pray until you drop dead, which is fine. That's the ideal definition of Jain religion. When somebody who is not familiar asks me, what is the best way of practice Jain religion, and that's my Jain viewpoint. Anything that you do from being in a jungle, away from the surroundings, sit in one position and pray and meditate until you drop dead. Anything from there you do to either be a ritualistic Jain, to be a ritualistic, good human being, or to be a leader, or to become an acharya, sadhu, everything has some karma that you are building. Some good karma, some bad karma you will. Whether you believe it or not, whether you like it or not, that's the reality that we cannot run away from. And ultimately it's the karmic bonds, and I will leave it for Saraswati to tell more about it, but the whole life is balance of good and bad karma. And we will be building some karmas going from there, and even in that position, we will be building karmas because we are breathing, and even by breath, we are killing the organism that we can't see. And more importantly, we still are thinking. He said few minutes that we can meditate and concentrate. I'm sorry, my time limit is like 5 seconds. And then I'm everywhere and then I come back. So we are building karmas even by doing that at that time. Now, From the Second World War onwards, what's the modern belief in spirituality? Deepest values and meanings by which people live, we define for ourselves. Inner path enabling a person to discover the essence of his or her being. And I'm sure we all have figured that out. Go work on it more. Personal well-being, physical and psychological input as for modern spirituality. However, this is where I really like. Contemporary authors suggest that it develops inner peace and forms a foundation for happiness. We did hear about happiness. Is that the ultimate? Is that where we all want to be? And this is where the answer that I have. Every creature in this world is seeking permanent happiness. Remember, it's the permanent happiness that is a little different. And what His Holiness Dalai Lama said is, the purpose of our life is to seek happiness. While reading and trying to find those things in the literature, and it goes back to 3rd century. Third means 300 BC and AC, and coming from there into 13th century and 16th century and 19th century, and I didn't want to take you that route, so I didn't bring that much information. But the tragedy of Eastern religion, and especially Hindu religion and Jain religion, is not until 16th century when people started paying attention to that. While we had all these thoughts even before 2,500 years, and before 3,000 years, and before 5,000 years. But be it may, that's what it is. That's what it is. There are two kinds of happiness. Relative, which is temporary, and real, which is permanent. And ultimately, our goal is to get to permanent. Relative is what we all feel, believe, and I'll share you some interesting proverbs. But this is what I believe. True happiness comes from serving unknowns. Now, that is still not necessarily permanent happiness. I will put this word true somewhere in between. And you will find out why I said that. Born and raised in India, lived in America, but I had to go to China to find what makes me happy or what I do. Secret of happiness. If you want to be happy for an hour, take a nap. To be happy for a day, go golfing. Do anything you like, take picnic, go do whatever. And of course, my wife is not going to like about this, because it's just about a month that I got remarried. Sorry, all married people. If you want to be happy for a year, inherit fortune. Ladies and gentlemen, money will take you so far. But if you want to be happy for a lifetime, if you want to find that true happiness, maybe leading to permanent happiness, go help someone else. Person, much more important is people that you do not really know. Since my niece lives in Diamond Bar, this is a picture from Zambia when we made that trip in 2007 on medical missions. And she's a school teacher, and we arranged for a visit to orphanage and school children. And she and her brother spent the whole day playing with these children. We had taken goodie bags for things filled with things for the children in school, etc. That's what's true happiness in my book. So then, slowly, the Hindu philosophies and Jain thinking crept into the definition of spirituality. And the historian Bhattacharya had provided working definition. Religious sadhana prevents an excess of worldliness and molds the mind and disposition, or that is bhava, into a form which develops the knowledge of dispassion and non-attachment. Now remember, there are 3 A's that we all go by, right? Ahimsa, Anikantvad, and Aparigraha. It's all combined into it. Sadhana is a means whereby bondage becomes liberation. Ultimately, that's our goal. Now, how does sadhana and spirituality connect? It's a discipline undertaken in the pursuit of a goal, and abhyas. You keep reading and learning, practice performed with observation and reflection, and I really, truly thank for having me here, because that gave me a chance to learn a lot more about spirituality than what I was aware of, as well as what I had believed. It certainly changed my thinking. Kriya or action also implies perfect execution with study and investigation. So sadhana, abhyas, and kriya all mean one and the same thing. And a sadhak or practitioner is one who skillfully applies mind and intelligence in practice towards a spiritual goal. And how are we going to define the spiritual goal? We are going to come up with that definition for ourselves within the societal norms. Jain viewpoint again. I came across what Dr. or Professor Tessitori has said. In only 32 years that he lived, he was from Italy, born in 87, and lived a lot of his life in India, and ultimately even passed away in Bikaner in 1919. And he said, Jainism's important tenets are based on science. The more science advances, the more Jainism will be proven true. Know what? One example I will give about not eating after sunset, and guilty myself with most of you, not that I practice or we practice as often and as much, but that's based on science. And he knew at that time, and now we are confirming that it's just not a healthy way of living. But, not that we all can make change, but you should strive towards making ourselves better, and there are health reasons why we do that, and why Lord Mahavir Swami and Rushabdev have said that you should not be eating after sunset. So that's what Jainism does, give a unified scientific basis for the whole cosmos. Now remember, that's one other important Jain viewpoint. And when we talk about everything else in holistic science, we kind of do not touch non-living entities. And that's kind of not right. Jeev and a Jeev Padarth, they have values. And that is what holistic science from Jain viewpoint is. It should encompass everything. And that's one difference that I think most people have not gone and believed. And Anekantvad is another very important philosophy, non-absolutism, multiplicity of views, and I will tell this story about what different people can think. In I think 16th or 17th century in Kingdom of Bharat, I believe, an elephant was brought in from jungle, and people kind of had heard about it but didn't know much about it. And there were 7 blind men who were brought and asked, what is this? And depending upon the part of the elephant that they touched, they had different definitions. So one who was touching the trunk said that, oh, it's a rope. One who was touching the tail said, no, it's only a thread. Somebody who was touching the trunk, no, it's a big piece, and we don't know what that is. So there are multiple opinions of the same structure, and that goes true for all of us as well. We look at one thing and we can define it in many different ways. No one is right, no one is wrong, but there are some truths that we want to believe in. This is one principle that really applies very much to Jain way of living. And I personally believe, and many of us agree too, that Jain is, we call it religion, we call it dharma, but it's actually a way of life. And can somebody, you do have to be born in Jain religion to be a Jain? No. The belief that I carry is everybody is Jain. And they are Jain to different degree. Remember, from the place where you should be, or we all should be, or a Jain should be, in jungle, meditating until dropping dead, to whatever level. You may say that, oh, we all need to be vegetarian, we all need not to be eating root vegetables. Sure, it's different degrees. People who practice to the greater level are probably at a different level. I'm not saying good or bad, because it's just again karmic bonds. Yeah, somebody who may be staunch Jain in terms of devout practice, ritualistic eating and drinking boiled water, etc., etc. But in the real life, that person may be a very cunning businessman. He may be cheating people in his business. He may be cheating the IRS in America or income tax anywhere. Where do you put them? I will leave it for you to make the judgment, but it's a karmic bond. He's building good karmas by doing all the ritualistic things. He's building bad karmas also by not being honest and straightforward in his business. Just an example, even in life. A person may have a bad anger. He may put people down for little things, and yet he may be practicing to the zilt, and we do appreciate that aspect. What about the other aspect? It's karmic bond. You may remain a normal, reasonable, societal norm human being and not necessarily practice as much. This is the Jains try to do spiritual acts, prayers, Now, Kar Mantra we all know, honoring the Tirthankars, respect to monks, repenting for sins, self-control, meditation, and going without something pleasurable. And this is a little bit more for the image worshipping lay Jains. They don't necessarily carry out all, but they do some pratikaman, repentance of harm done during the night. You can do that at night also for the things that happen during the day. Temple visit, care for others and care for people in need. Greetings, donations to monks, nuns, eat last meal before sunset, pratikaman, reading of scriptures, doing samaik for 48 minutes during the daytime, all kinds of things you can possibly do. I'm going to now divert into care for others, can care for people in need, and that will be the end of my presentation. I know I'm going over, give me 3 minutes. This is what's wrong in this picture. Law offices and community health fair. This was in Santa Ana in 2011. Did a health fair for community here locally. This is another aspect. Undergrad students, residents and medical students, and I get an opportunity to teach them, show them the ways of how do we live. We did a wellness challenge in Jain Center right here, enrolling 500 people and helping them how to think and live healthy ways. This is the wellness program picture. This is Zambia. I know a lot of people are here from Zambia already, some of them are from here. In 2007, we were in Zambia doing medical mission for a week. We were a group of 14 people, and we did surgeries and we saw 400 plus patients, etc. Where does this stand in terms of spirituality and holistic science? I leave it for you to answer, but this is what is the calling of mine. And one other aspect, religion of humanity. And there isn't much in the literature because that was scrapped away, but it is the religion, your family is the Mecca and Vatican of this religion, and alone is the way of life of human beings. And this is essentially a summary of message from all different religions if you look hard enough. And I would like to share some things that I have done and learned for last several years from Vidra Trust, which is my ideal for humanistic approach, and I'm glad that Vijay is sitting here with the trustee. They've treated 4 million or more in last 40 years or so. And what I'm going to show you is, I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, you have not seen. Can you have imagined? You can tell me honestly. Humanity in service beyond mankind. Look at this. Prosthesis that was made for peacock in that institution. All locally. Vidra is a real remote place. Jungle ma mangal pe and this is cow, artificial limb for cows. Camel. Now what happens is, and this is a cat, paraplegic, you can see this. This device, locally made by Mukesh Doshi and his team in Vidra Sarvodaya Trust, makes the cat walk. And during earthquake in 2001, when it happened in Bhuj and Ahmedabad, that's where they had a lot of people coming in, and they realized people, human beings, who are gone, unfortunately, but gone. People who live with loss of limbs. That's where this institute in 2005 was started. And then they realized that it's not only human beings, but even animals and birds get affected. And who thinks about them? They certainly did. And I really admire them for that. But just imagine creating this for an animal. Something. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, if you realized, if you felt, and if you have the calling, just think. Just think about what you want to do. And remember this, action may not always bring happiness. There is no happiness if you don't take any action. Thank you very much.